Hello, my friends. This is Brian, the Speaker for the Dead, and welcome. Today, we're going to be doing a new video. Now, I realize that because of the setup that I'm using, it looks more like I'm trying to land a plane or play a video game than actually make a video. I'm having trouble with my other microphone, so this is what we've got to deal with today. So I hope you'll just bear with me. So, today's video is going to be on the military being used as a support group for the police, basically in Washington, D.C., and possibly in Chicago and other major cities. Now, our friend Bill Maher made a video on this. We're going to watch this video, and I'm going to make comments, and we're going to review this video. Now, listen closely, YouTube. I'm going to review this, so don't try and kill my video because I'm using somebody else's video. I'm reviewing his. That's allowed. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Here we go. Okay, so now for those of you who've been living under a rock, our major cities are kind of in a mess. And there's a lot of reasons for this. A lot of it is because of bad leadership, bad mayors, bad district attorneys, some pretty shitty police officers.
I believe you too. You see the quotations I'm making with my claw hands? It means I don't believe you.
There's a lot of different reasons for this, okay? There's been a lot of problems in the last few years, and here's my take as to why this is such a big problem. Before we get into this video, because Bill's not going to touch on this. Bill's only out to crap on Trump to pump up his audience. Because he can only go so far in making sense before he has to spin back to the left and try and say crap that is meat to the liberals whom he built his show on. So, here's the deal.
H.R. 963, motion that from now on all Democrats are officially weird. All in favor?
The police are trying to enforce too many laws. Okay? They're trying to enforce things that should never have been made laws in the first place. And that presents a major problem for them. They shouldn't be enforcing things like, are you wearing your seatbelt? Where's your insurance card? You were going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit. Okay. Now, I realize that there's got to be restrictions and limits and laws. Absolutely. That's what keeps us free. Restricting ourselves enough so that all of our rights are protected individually. I spoke on this in my last video. The only true point of a government is to have enough laws that we protect our rights from each other. So that we maintain a cohesive group structure. The problem is that America's not being run like that anymore. We're being run as individual groups. We're being run as individual identity groups and stuff where you can't do this and you can't do that. And oh, this person's been had oppression placed against them, so you can't apply the same rules to them. Here's the problem. There has to be one tier of justice for everybody. Not a group for the politicians, not a group of justice ideologies for black people and for Hispanics and for white people and for Latinos and for whatever group we're talking about, okay? Justice, the statue of justice that we hold in quite kind of reverence, is a woman blindfolded holding scales. Now, the reason for that is because justice is supposed to be blind. Justice is supposed to be applied equally. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor, powerful, a pauper, somebody unborn, born, living, dead. I mean, there should be justice for the dead. I mean, if you think about it, like, their memory shouldn't be defiled by lies and stuff after. Anyway, that gets into a whole nother can of worms. The point that I want to discuss about is how did we get here? Okay, is this the best plan that we have? Sticking soldiers on our streets? No. Of course it's not. We've never really had to do that except for in times of crisis where either there's been a massive upheaval in a place or city, riots, issues that had to be quelled, that we had to kind of tamp down the temperature by basically stopping people from doing anything, till they could get themselves calmed back down enough to be rational and reasonable. But the thing is, we've really never done it for anything other than that, or like national emergency, like in Katrina, where the military is brought in to help get people out and get people to safety and bring in supplies and to do things that the military does very well. We haven't really used them as a police force just to tamp down crime, because in the past we didn't have to. In the past, we had a justice system. I mean, if you want to use the Bill uses the analogy of Law and Order, where police arrest the criminals, the DEA prosecutes the criminals, blah 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 blah, and that's what it used to always be. Well, now we have DAs that are actively not prosecuting criminals. They're letting people off. Because they're poor oppression and they live in a bad neighborhood, and so it doesn't matter. Like all that stuff didn't matter at one time. If you broke the law, you paid the price. Didn't matter what the reasons, what the consequences, it was just like it was black and white, and that's how it's supposed to be. Is justice is supposed to be blind. You break the law, you pay the price. There wasn't all this ambiguity, but there also didn't used to be so damn many laws. I mean, when I was growing up, we rode in the back of a pickup and nobody ever said anything to anybody. We took guns into school in the back windows of our pickups. Nobody ever got shot. Nobody ever even thought about shooting somebody because people were taught respect for others. And there was discipline in the home, meaning if you did something at school, one, you'd get your ass beat by the teacher in the school. Then, when you got home, you'd get your butt beat by your parents, who'd take you back to school and make you apologize to everybody who you'd screwed up in front of. That's how it used to be. Like there was a system-wide a way of doing things where like your parents weren't there to back you up for being a screw up. Your parents were there to stop you. And somewhere along the line, we lost that. We decided, we're not going to do that anymore. And it happened sometime between the previous generation and my generation of X, where all of a sudden, like that just went away. And I don't know whether the Gen X people decided, I'm just going to let my kids do whatever because that's what happened with us, or we had a really strict upbringing. Most Gen Xers had really strict upbringings. At least I did. And I'm grateful for that. And I think, but some people took that to mean, I'm going to be super, super duper nice to my kids and be friends. And they overcompensated in the other direction. And maybe it was a generation after mine. I don't know. But these problems weren't that big in previous generations because previous generations maintained the status quo. There wasn't excuses made. The people didn't get a free pass for doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. We weren't passing laws to create a nanny state where everything had to be enforced through government. Most of it was enforced through religious beliefs and through just a common belief in that this is a great country and we want to keep it great, so we're going to make people do what they're supposed to be doing, and we enforced our laws strictly. So now let's get into Bill Maher's video. Now I realize I'm already running about 10 minutes long on this. This is going to be a long video. This is a review video. I'm going to pause it. We're going to make comments and stuff like that, but we're going to go ahead and bring Bill in here now, and see what we think about what he's talking about. So here we go. Bill Maher.
And finally, new rule. Someone has to ask cops, why aren't you insulted that Donald Trump thinks so little of you that in city after city he's sending in military troops to do your job? Why doesn't that piss you off?
Well, I can answer that one, Bill, because that's a retarded question to begin with. He doesn't think that. He's not bringing the cops in because they can't do their job. He's bringing the military in because the cops haven't been allowed to do their job. Or when they do their job, the buttholes who are supposed to be prosecuting and putting these people away for their crimes let them go because they're black people and they just don't understand. And it's okay. They're changing the laws in these cities, in these large cities, to where they basically make it a free-for-all to walk into a grocery store, a shopping store, a jewelry store, it doesn't matter, and just walk out with merchandise, and nobody's going to prosecute them anymore. They don't get thrown in jail. They don't get forced to pay restitution and to give back what they stole. They're just allowed to walk away. Because if you only rob up to $900, that's okay. Stealing's okay. It's like when I was a kid. If I stole a candy bar, oh, trust me, it was not worth it. It was not worth it. And that's what we have to do. I mean, because I'd end up taking it back, or if I'd already eaten a candy bar, then I ended up paying the store clerk back, having to go and apologize to the store clerk, and taking the whooping that my parents gave me for doing such an embarrassing thing. That's how things were. That's why the system worked, is because nobody got away with it. Not with your parents, not with society, not with the justice system. It was consistent across the board. And that's the thing. So, I mean, he's starting from a false premise here. This is not what's happening. This is not what's happening. This is not why this is being done. Donald Trump's trying to use a hammer to fix a problem that had things been done correctly, he wouldn't need that hammer to fix it. He could have fixed it with, a set of tweezers, just tweaking a couple of things. But the problem is he's got liberal mayors and Democrat mayors who aren't enforcing the laws. They're letting people do bad things, and they're handcuffing the police. And if the police do their job, like I said, they're letting the criminals go. Well, you can't do that and have any kind of consistency. And since he doesn't have the power to make the mayors do what they're supposed to do, he's got to use the military power that he does have the authority to use to try and fix these problems. And even in cities like Chicago, the butthole mayor that is in there is trying to tell him that he can't come. We don't need your help. 57 people were injured and 7 died last weekend alone. Now, I mean, and that's a common occurrence, and it's happening all the time in major cities all across the country. The homeless encampments are terrible. The drug users all open on the streets. Like, they're not allowing the president to fix the problem. And when a Democrat gets in there, they don't do anything to fix the problem. They don't even try. And they just feed into this and make it worse and worse and worse and worse because they're trying to bring down the country. Because they don't like this country. They want to change it to be something different. They want it to be a socialist utopia or whatever it is. Whatever's in their twisted head, why you wouldn't want to solve problems and keep people safe and give police the power to do what they need to do, while also, because this needs to be said, the police need to be watched. Because I have very little use for the police now. When I was growing up, I had great respect for the police, but the police now are jerks. They have trained the humanity out of them. They have made them horrible, horrible people who have a chip on their shoulder. Like, they need to be doing mental testing before you can become a police officer. Because some of these people get in to become a police officer to pay back every person that ever beat them up or was mean to them in high school. They have mental issues going on that they're trying to solve problems that happened in their own lives years and years and years ago, and they're on a huge power trip and a huge authority-driven craziness to show how powerful they are now. Okay, these cops that make up rules and make up laws that don't even exist. It's just what's in their personal head, and they think it's okay to try and enforce that, and that needs to be stopped. See, there's so many sides to this. So many things that need to be fixed, but nobody wants to talk about that. And Bill Maher and guys like him, they just want to attack the guy that's trying to fix it. Now, he's not going about the right way fixing it either, but he can't, because he cannot force evil, wicked men and women in the Democratic Party and in independents or whatever to do the right thing. He can only try and do what he can do. And so he's using that authority. But they're forgetting that. And he's not holding anybody else accountable but Trump.
So, in case you took the summer off from following the news, and who could blame you if you did?
Yeah, because why would you want to know what's going on? I mean, I mean, really what's going on. Because, I mean, half the time it's like Denzel Washington said, if you read the news, you're misinformed, and if you don't read the news, you're uninformed. So it's like catch 22. You either don't know what's going on, or you're being lied to about what did happen.
America is now a country where, first in LA, then in Washington, D.C., and soon coming to a city near you, the new normal is troops in the streets. The exact thing we've never done here, except for true emergencies, and the thing we most don't want to become normal. So here's what happened. Remember.
Here's an idea. Fix the police. Fix the police and go in and arrest these DAs and these mayors and these people who are not upholding the laws, who are willingly and blatantly, flagrantly disregarding the oaths that they took to protect and serve. Then cops that are doing the same thing, they need to be held accountable. Anybody in the system who's abusing their authority or misusing their authority or not using the authority that they're given the way they're supposed to needs to be taken out of the system. And they need to be punished. And so that, and very, very, very powerfully punished so that people that like them don't try and get into office anymore. Okay? But yeah, we don't want to see this thing as a normalized thing. But what's the alternative? Watching our cities deteriorate into just shitholes, third world countries inside of our country? That doesn't sound like a good idea either, Bill.
DOGE, the Elon Musk-helmed Department of Government Efficiency that brought in a teenage squad of tech geniuses to reduce the size of government and didn't even do that. Well, one of them, a 19-year-old named Big Balls, got jumped.
His name is not Big Balls. That's a nickname that he was given that was used. He has a real name. I don't know what it is because everybody refers to him as Big Balls because I don't know why. Because that's what he asked. I don't understand. But I don't know what this has to do with the other thing he's talking about.
In D.C. last month by some other teenagers, one a 15-year-old girl.
And because there was a girl involved, that makes this a joke. I hate to tell you this, Bill, but a group of 10 to 15 girls jump a guy, guess what? He's probably going to get the shit kicked out of him because you can't outdo that many women. Now, on a 1-to-1 fight, yeah, not going to be a problem. But does it, like, if 15 people jump you and one of them happens to be a girl, that doesn't mean the 14 other guys that kicked his ass that were dudes. That doesn't make it any less tragic or horrific. But let's laugh about it.
So Trump called out the National Guard.
He didn't call out the National Guard because that kid got beat up. It wasn't a one incident thing. That was maybe the straw that broke the camel's back because he knew that kid. A lot of times that's what happens in these situations where it takes somebody being personally affected that the politician knows to actually get them to do the right thing or to bring it more forcefully to their attention. I'm sure President Trump already knew this was a problem, but that just kind of brought it home to him. I don't know. I'm not inside President Trump's head. By the way, neither are you.
Because when Donald Trump was a little boy, someone forgot to teach him the difference between a policeman and an army man.
Really? That's supposed to be funny? Now, here's the funny thing. I actually like Bill Maher, and I actually watch his stuff most weeks. I mean, I don't go to his show, but I'll watch it on YouTube and check him out, see what he said, because he's had some good takes. But like I said, this is his thing where he'll have some good takes, he'll take his own side to task, and then for some reason, he'll completely throw any common sense that he had the week before out. He just throws it out and completely goes batshit crazy and does a monologue like this. Does a new rule thing like this. It's so stupid, so idiotic, so short-sighted, and so lacking in common sense that it's just scary.
But there is a difference. The Pentagon is not Paw Patrol, and SEAL Team 6 is not Adam 12, and we don't need to send in the Marines to pacify Shake Shack. Like...
Apparently we do. Apparently we do, Bill. Because people get mugged outside places like that. Because people get attacked. And not just in seedy parts of town anymore. No, right in the main thoroughfares. Right in the places where everybody goes. And they do it blatantly. And half the time it's mentally ill people who shouldn't be on the streets at all. They should be somewhere in a mental hospital getting treatment and being helped. They're drug addicts who are trying to find some way of getting money because, I mean, they're too drugged out to go get a job and actually do something productive with themselves. So, hey, I'm going to mug Sarah walking home from work, or Bob, who, or Big Balls. I'm sure those people didn't even know who that kid was. They just mugged somebody who looked like he might have a couple of bucks to his name.
Like they say on Law and Order, the cops and the Navy are two separate but equally important groups. And if you don't believe me, ask the village people.
It's just not funny. I mean, and he can be funny, but this? Stupidity is not funny. Okay? Wit is funny. Being clever is funny. Playing on words is funny. There's funny stuff, and I can laugh at our side. I'm LDS, and I can laugh at LDS stuff. I can laugh at a lot of different things as long as it's clever, witty, and at least based on some semblance of reality and the truth. But this is just stupid. This is like ignorance. This is like bibble 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 wabba labba dibba dabba da. It's not funny because it doesn't make, he might as well be speaking. He might as well be some crazy person laying on the floor, trying to speak in tongues. It's just not funny because you don't know. It doesn't connect with anything real in your head.
Trump says, I'm not a dictator, I just know how to stop crime. And I take him at his word because when has he ever told a lie?
Like he's the only one who's ever lied. I mean, not that I'm saying that that's okay. It's not okay. But Bill, this whole monologue is a lie. He knows. He's smarter than this. Because you see those glimmers of intelligence every week. He'll say a comment, or he'll call somebody out on task for being dishonest, or whatever. But it's amazing to me how self-deluded he can make himself if it just gets somebody that he wants to get.
But I will say this. Page 1 of the Dictator Handbook is pretexts. You find a pretext to do what you want to do anyway. Say you want to invade another country. Well, you say that some people of your ethnicity living in that country are being persecuted. Voila, reason to invade. But as pretexts go, big balls getting mugged, that takes some big balls.
That was not the pretext. I'm going to keep repeating that because I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe Donald Trump said, oh, it's because of this. It wasn't. It wasn't. This is something that's been needed to be done for a while. And if the mayors and if the police and if everybody who's supposed to be doing this was doing it, he wouldn't have to do anything. That's where we're really at. He shouldn't have to do this. He shouldn't even have to worry about doing this. The people who have been elected below him in the government, mayors, governors, police chiefs, all of the DAs, judges, all of these people should be doing their job, but they're not. So he has to. Somebody has to. Somebody has to try and save people's lives. Somebody has to try and bring these cities under control. Somebody's got to do something. And see, that's the worst thing, is that, yeah, that does give rise to dictators. He's not a dictator. Because if he was, he'd be doing way worse than this. He would not be doing this a little bit at a time. He would not be trying to solve one problem, then move on and solve the next problem. Are troops still in Los Angeles? I don't think so. I don't think so. From last time I heard, they're not there anymore. If he was a dictator, they'd stay there. He'd never let them leave, and he'd just keep adding more and more cities and more till he had everything under military control. But that's not what he's doing, is it, Bill?
Now, that's not to say crime in D.C. isn't an actual problem. It is the 36th most violent city in the country. Not as violent as Little Rock, Arkansas, or Shreveport, the city represented by noted crime boss Mike Johnson.
See? And that's what he does. He raises a false equivalency. But somebody needs to ask Bill, who's in charge of those cities? Are those Republican-run cities? Are those independent-run cities? Is the police chief a Republican? Is the district attorney a Republican? Is the mayor? Yeah, they've got a Republican representing them in Congress. But that doesn't mean they have Republicans representing them at the local level. Because most major cities and stuff and things like that have Democrat mayors. Even if they've got Republican governors, they still have Democrat mayors. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a good Democrat mayor or a good Democrat. I'm sure there are. There's lots of places that probably have good Democrats. It's the ones that aren't listening to the current Democratic Party, and they're actually listening to their own consciences and trying to do the right thing. But those Democrats, they're getting fewer and fewer and fewer because the Democrat Party as a whole has become so corrupt, so twisted that it's not even recognizable as the party that used to that John F. Kennedy was a member of. He wouldn't be a member of the Democratic Party today unless he'd gone down the slow, crazy train like the rest of the Democrats have. But if you plucked him out of time and stuck him in today's Democratic Party, he'd be like, what the hell? He wouldn't even recognize it. The brain rot has been slowly creeping in. And trust me, I'm not any bigger fan of the Republicans right now because they're stupid.
But D.C. has had 194 carjackings this year, most involving guns. That's not Mayberry. Poor Big Balls got carjacked on a date, which shocked everyone. Not that he was carjacked, that he was on a date.
Yeah. Let's make fun of a kid who got beat up by a bunch of teenagers, who got mugged by. I'm sorry. This like I said, this is not funny. This is cruel. This is mean-spirited. This kid got brought in not because he ran around going, "I'm Big Balls, pick me, pick me, pick me," but because he was good at computers. He knew how to run computers, and he knew how to look for the things that Doge and that Elon Musk was brought in to look for. He was giving a service. He was actually trying to do something good. You know, Bill, when was the last time you went in to try and help the government save money? When was the last time you tried to save the taxpayers a nickel? This kid actually did. Now, yeah, stupid name, really dumb. I don't know why you would ever say that. I'm sure he thought it was just a joke. He's just trying to be funny, trying to be goofy. He was probably the class clown. Everybody's had one of those kids that they've been around. He was trying to be funny, and now what? It's okay to beat him up because he called himself Big Balls? It's okay to make fun of him on national television for getting beat up? Hope that never happens to you, Bill. Of course, you've probably got security. He probably didn't.
Way ahead of me. All right. Trump brags about the 87% decrease in carjackings in D.C. since the troops moved in. Yes, military states can reduce crime. Point conceded. Will militarizing our cities make them safer? Yes, but not safer for democracy.
Okay. It's taking a lot of effort for me not to swear like a sailor right now. We don't live in a democracy, Bill. Now, I know that people on your side are like, I wish you guys would shut up about that. You know, we live in a democratic republic. We live in a representative republic, okay? We don't have a democracy. We have never had a democracy. Not ever, not for a second. We have a democratic republic, okay? Which means people vote, but we vote for representatives. We don't vote for what we want. Okay? It's not like, because in a democracy, 51% controls 49%. And I said this in my last video. It's a terrible thing because it's majority rule. Meaning the minority is never respected. Their rights are trampled over. If you can just get that 51%, you can control the almost other 50% of the country and make them do things they don't want to do. That's why our founding fathers hated democracies. They loathed them. We have democratic principles in our country, but there's tight controls through a representative republic that keeps that from getting out of hand. But we don't have a democracy. Stop saying that. It's a lie. And it's a misconception that you keep spinning out to be, we're going to lose democracy. That's okay, because we never had one. It's okay if we lose our democracy. We never had one. We had a republic. We vote for representatives. We do not vote for what we actually want. We have to filter our wants through a representative. That was put in there specifically to filter the passions of the people, to keep a majority of people from running rampant over for getting passionate. We got attacked or something happens, and 51% go, we want to blow up the world, launch all the nuclear missiles. In a democracy, we could actually have that happen. 51% of the people say, launch nuclear weapons. We don't care what happens, because they're all emotional. And we start World War III. But because we have a representative republic that filters and slows down the passions of the people, we keep horrendous things like that from happening. We keep people from being rode roughshod over. But in Bill's world, well, it's just go vote, and we'll just make everybody on the smaller side do what we want. A representative republic is majority rules with the rights of the minority respected. A very important distinction. Oh, lemmings. The lemmings are clapping.
Once it's normal to have an army loyal to you already in the streets, game over. That is how all future political disputes will be decided. Folks.
No, it won't. No, it won't. Because the people won't stand for it. The people are supporting this bill because it's necessary. Because people on your side have made it necessary. Otherwise, there'd be outrage, unbelievable outrage amongst the people. But the people aren't outraged. They're saying, thank God somebody's coming to save us. And I didn't say that as a swear word, Lord. They're actually praising the fact that this is happening. Somebody is coming to save us. Somebody is coming to stop this nonsense. Somebody is coming to back up our police and make it so that the mayor can't just tell them not to do their job, and the chief of police can't just say, we're not going to worry about it. Because with the military standing over the top of you, those people suddenly have to do their jobs because they're being watched. There's a watchdog, literally a watchdog, standing there over them saying, do your job or else. There shouldn't have to be somebody standing over them doing that, but apparently we need that. Because Democrats can't be trusted to just do what's right.
It's not worth the trade-off. Everything in life is a trade-off. You want to reduce traffic fatalities to zero? Stop using cars. You want to eliminate drug overdoses? Make the penalty for possession death, like they do in Saudi Arabia. But we're not the cut off his hands people. Qatar is a lovely place to get a free plane. I wouldn't want to live there.
Boy, they're obsessed with that, aren't they? You know what? I don't care about the plane. Honestly, I couldn't give a crap less about Qatar giving us a plane for Air Force One. Personally, I wouldn't have took it. I'd just been like, hey, no, thank you. I really appreciate that, but no. But I honestly just don't care. I don't care about that. That does not affect me. That does not change everything for me. The fact that we got a plane for free.
And not for nothing, when the teenagers were beating up big balls, It was plain old DC cops who rolled up in a regular police car and arrested them in progress. So yeah, the system needs improving. What system doesn't? But we're not a deaf.
Okay, let's pause it right there for a second. It's more than likely that the only reason those police were available to do that was because they had help. Because if they hadn't sent the troops in, who knows? Now, I realize this is before that happened and stuff, but it could have just as easily gone the other way, that they were tied up somewhere else and didn't make it and he gets killed. Or seriously injured to the point where he'll never walk again, he'll never be right again, he could have lost a lung, I mean, you just like, to say, well, it was fine because the police showed up anyway. Yeah, but how much faster would they have shown up there before the defund the police movement? How much faster? How many more cops would have been on the street that day if they hadn't done the defund the police movement? If the cops didn't feel so demoralized by the fact that they have to keep arresting the same pieces of shit that do this stuff over and over and over again because nobody really punishes them. So that there's no consequence to being bad and to doing bad things. Me personally, and this is where I'm at. I am so sick of this stuff. I don't want the cops to roll up and do arrest. I want them to roll up and start and just gun down everybody who is doing that until it stops, until people realize it is so not worth it to do this. Now I realize there's a whole host of problems that come with that, but I'm sorry. Like, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take severe, strict punishments before people realize this is so not worth it. It's so not worth it to do that we have to do stuff that turns public opinion back to the point where it's just like, that's why bring back public hangings, bring back firing squads, bring back stuff like that. Tell people, get the message, it's not worth it. And then you can kind of fade those things away again. But like, you have to stop the worst of it. You have to make it not worth it to do this stuff anymore. That's the only way to stop it, because that's what it took. You think the Wild West, people didn't just do things willy-nilly because you'd get killed if you did. Now, eventually, civilization came in, but civilization during that time to reign in the Wild West and stuff like that they had to be, the lawmen of that era were strict. Boy, there was no nonsense. You screw around, you get shot. You get hung. You get shot by a firing squad. You get hung. You get whatever. But like, it wasn't this mamby-pamby, don't do that again. Pay $50 and then go. Or your daddy can pay it off and stuff like that. He's like, no, we need, like, hey, make it so expensive, daddy won't pay for it.
DEFCON 1, that's a pretext. And it's not like we don't already have a lot of cops. America has 750,000 sworn officers.
And how many of them are allowed to do their job? Half of that? How many of them shouldn't be cops? Because they're the people who are pushing things the other way, that are causing problems, that are actually creating people that hate the police. I mean, my interactions with police in the last 25 years have been horrendous. They have been nothing but glorified tax collectors. They show up and they cite me large amounts or small amounts for teeny tiny and seriously, I don't. It's not like I'm doing 110 miles an hour down the freeway. I don't steal. I don't kill. I don't break laws. As a general rule, I maybe go 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I got tickets for doing stuff like that. I got a ticket in a truck because somebody called in another truck and that officer was too damn dumb to realize that the trucks he was looking for were 20 miles ahead of us. Now I know this because my brother was driving one of those trucks. And they were breaking the law, but me and the other guy that were working for the same company at the time weren't doing anything wrong. We were going slow, we didn't have any problems, but he gave us a ticket because of what they had done, and he didn't bother to catch up and give those tickets to them. But hey, Who cares about the truth? Who cares about who really broke the law? Who cares about who did really bad stuff, right? We just gotta throw tickets out there. Because it's not just the cost of the tickets that's the problem, it raises your insurance rates. It causes all kinds of problems, and it did cause all kinds of problems for me. I got tickets for the most ridiculous things you've ever seen. And I don't have a problem with getting a ticket for something I did that was wrong, but these were minor infractions, which I was getting $150, $200 tickets for like minimalistic things. Ridiculous.
800,000 if you count the ones on TV. Schools police.
We're going to skip ahead because he goes through police. And yeah, we've got a lot of police. And maybe that's part of our problem is we need to funnel some of that down so there aren't so many different divisions of the police, and there's just in the city there's just the city police, and then they handle the policing, and there's all these other groups and stuff. I don't think we need to have an ATF and an ITV and whatever else. It's like I think we need to bring those into more of a centralized thing so that there's more oversight over specific things. But
you fuck with the Dewey Decimal System, your ass is there.
This woman.
Or take my town. If you drive from Santa Monica to Burbank, you pass through the jurisdiction of 6 different police forces, which is stressful if you live in Santa Monica and your coke dealer is in Burbank.
So let's joke about drug use. One of the things that's plaguing America is killing loads of people, and yeah, let's joke about that. There's 6 different police forces, and you're still doing shit like that. I'm not sure if our police are really doing what they're supposed to, by his own admission. Put some military in there. Guess who wouldn't be going to get any coke? Guess who might not have any coke in the country to go get if our borders were secure and things weren't able to get in here like they're not supposed to be able to. But it's funny.
We got cops. We got a lot of people with guns and a license to kill. And I'm not even saying we don't need most of them, because this is a country that's a madhouse full of heavily armed, deranged, ranting crackpots and conspiracy theorists and just crazy motherfuckers.
Mostly on your side. Mostly on your side, Bill. I know you don't want to admit that, but really, most of the rest of us that have guns are just trying to protect ourselves from people on your side. You know, the people that are actually beating people up and attacking people in restaurants and screaming at people because, you know, they think that they should have a penis when they have a vagina. I'm just saying. I don't think the crazies are mostly on our side. Oh, we've got some. Trust me. I know we do.
Civilization is a mile wide and an inch deep. We need our cops and should appreciate them. But I also, and I'm going to put this as kindly as I can, don't want the military picking up some of the bad habits cops have. I don't want the Marines eating donuts. I don't want the National Guard getting free blowjobs from streetwalkers.
If that's happening, yeah, I don't want that happening either. And those cops shouldn't be cops.
I don't want G.I. Joe getting the blue flu. Women should not have to worry about the 101st Airborne pulling them over for driving while pretty. I know the cops love Trump, and I know why. Unconditional love. Well, that's not the right approach, and neither was the attitude from too much of the left, that cops were the enemy.
Okay. This is the one teeny little part of this monologue, whatever his new rule thing, where he gets it a little bit right.
All racist thugs who needed defunding. But I would ask every cop.
That was it. That was just one little caveat in this whole thing where maybe their side was kind of responsible, but he just blows over it in lieu of everything else.
To ask yourself, why is your boy disrespecting you so much now, telling you that we need to bring in someone better than you who can really get the job done? It's like getting your mom to beat up the school bully. Fuck the police? This is more like cuck the police.
Okay. part of me wants to apologize for subjecting you guys to that. But I want you to see, because this isn't this Bill Maher. This is basically their whole argument. We're gonna lose freedom and democracy. Now they don't even say that. They don't even say freedom. They say democracy. That's all they care about. Is democracy, democracy, democracy. We got democracy, democracy, democracy. We don't even have a democracy, as I said before. Like, why aren't you worried about freedom? Why aren't you worried about agency? Why aren't you worried about, like, real principles? Not just some form of government that you say we have that we don't. This is a crazy thought. Maybe worry about losing something more important than a fairy tale government that you think we have that we've never had. I'm not saying that he's not right on some of this stuff. Do we want military in our cities? No, they're supposed to be going out and fighting other people. But unfortunately, the people on his side of the aisle have allowed hundreds of thousands, millions of people to flood into our country. We don't know where they came from. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know why they're here. Some of them are here for an opportunity to better themselves. Some of them are here for economic reasons. Some of them are here for all kinds of reasons. But some of them came here to hurt us. Some of them came here to deal drugs. Some of them came here to get involved in human trafficking or to expand human trafficking. Or sexual exploitation of children and women and anybody who they can get their hands on. There have been massive amounts of people who do not belong here, never belonged here, and we didn't tell them they could come here. They just came and broke into our country. And now, when the guy who's come in to try and fix it is trying to fix it, the same people who broke the system, who have been doing everything they can to tear down our system and overwhelm our civil services, are the same ones telling us, stop it, you can't fix that with that. You have to do it this way. Never mind that they're the same people who are standing in the way of doing it the right way. They're the mayors and the governors and the representatives of these areas that are in such horrendous disarray. And they won't let the man who said he'd come in and fix it. They are actively trying to prevent him from making the American people's lives better. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. And that's the thing. Bill Maher in this, for how stupid this was, demonstrated perfectly the liberal mindset, demonstrated perfectly why we're in the mess that we're in, and that it's not going to get better because they don't want it to get better. These people who broke the system, they want it broken, and they want to keep it broken, and they don't want Trump to fix it because they want to overwhelm the system, destroy this country, and reset it with something nightmarish that they will have complete control and power over. Trust me, they want to use the military way more than Trump. They want to use the military and the police to do horrendous, horrific things, just like they were doing under President Biden, where they are arresting people for praying peacefully in abortion clinics. They want to go to the homes of Christians and pastors and attack them with SWAT teams and drag them out of their house because they dared to speak about something to do with religion. They want to attack and destroy anybody who doesn't believe what they believe and their purple-haired psychotic beliefs. Or if you happen to say that you don't believe that transgenderism is anything more than a mental illness, they want to be able to arrest you and put you away like they're doing in Great Britain. Trust me, these people want this system broken. They don't want President Trump to be able to fix it because they want to be able to use that power to go after their enemies. President Trump just wants to do this to protect people. Democrats and Republicans. That's the funny thing. He's not just sending the military into the Republican areas to make sure that the Republicans are kept safe. He's sending them into Democrat areas as well, where everybody lives, to try and make everybody safe. What does that tell you? He's not in this for a political thing. He's in this because that's what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to make people safer. He said he was going to help people, and he's using the only method available to him to do it. You guys on the left need to get a clue, but that's just it. That's what I said in the comments on this very video. They don't want any of this. This is purposeful. This is purposeful ignorance. This is purposeful stupidity. He is being purposely obtuse. He knows exactly why this is happening, but he can't admit it because he's on Team Psycho. Well, the rest of us are on Team America, and we're just trying to survive this mess, the mess that him and other people like him have created. And it's sad because Bill has gotten quite a few things right recently. And yet I don't know how he can get one thing so right and get something else so absolutely, unbelievably wrong. It's just crazy. He cannot help himself. He says he's never changed, and to a certain extent I believe that. But his side has, and he's still trying to defend them. See, that's just it. He's hanging on for desperate life to those old things. And those old things, they're not there anymore. He's hanging on to smoke. And sooner or later, when you do that, it leads to your fall. And it'll be sad when that finally happens to him. But anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. I know this is a long video. This is something I felt really important about because this is something I've been worried about for a long time. The police need to be fixed, but not in the way the left thinks they need to be fixed. They don't need to be defunded. They need to be taken into hand. They need to have good men and women put in the leadership to weed out the bad individuals, to push out those who are corrupt and who are doing terrible things. We don't need the military going into our cities to fix them, but absent a governor or mayors who are going to do the right thing, then that's all we have left. We have to do something. And it's a sad thing when we get into and see, that's when bad things happen, when people put us in a desperate situation where we have to do the bad thing to try and do the right thing. There's no good options left at that point. And that's where you've left us. And that's where the Democrats and people like them and people who are anarchists and hate our country because they've been taught to by school teachers for the last 30 years. That's where we've been left. When we have a bunch of communists in our country who would like nothing better than to see our country overturned and struck down, not realizing that the second it is and they get their wish, they will wish that they had never got their wish. Be careful what you wish for. You might get it. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye now.